Hi guys. So Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, was in Parliament, and he talked about how the UK, his government is working hard to deal with this pandemic, how they're increasing testing, and how they're reducing the miles travelled to get a test. So let's hear what he had to say.
Capacity further, we're working round the clock to make sure everyone who needs a test can get a test. The vast majority of people who use our testing service get a test that is close to home, and the average distance travelled to a test site is now just 5.8 miles, down from 6.4 miles last week. But the whole House knows that there are operational challenges.
So a very nice use of language here, operational challenges. So David Lammy, who's a Labour MP, introduced this to Parliament some time ago, a few weeks ago, I think it was. He told how people in his constituency, I think it's Tottenham, had to travel to Aberdeen to get a test. So the problem is that people will go on the website, okay, I need a test. So they go on the website, and they will have the website of their local authority. And the local authority will say, we don't have sufficient capacity. So if you want a test, you'll have to go to another authority. So you search for another authority, and they will say, yes, we have tests available, but you better book it quickly. And then as soon as you go to book it, it says no insufficient capacity or something like that. So people search around, look around for another place to get a test, and in many cases they have to go further afield. And in some cases, people were asked to travel hundreds of miles to get a test. Now, this opens a Pandora's box of problems, because if somebody has to travel hundreds of miles and they are infected, then there's a huge risk that they're going to spread the pandemic. Now, another approach to this, and I don't know if this is a correct approach or whether it would be a good idea or not, but another approach was to ask GPs to provide the testing, so that people would not have to travel hundreds of miles. They could go to their local GP, who would have a record of their patient, and this could actually facilitate also the test and trace system. So instead, it seems that the government would prefer to outsource this, it seems, to a private company. Why, I don't know. Instead of asking GPs to carry out the tests. Or at least have the local NHS carry out the test.
And we're working hard to fix them. We've seen a sharp rise in people coming forward for a test, including those who are not eligible. The top priority is...
So he says, I just wanted to stop it here. So he said also people who are not eligible. Now, Priti Patel was challenged on this over the question of frivolous tests. The idea that some people are getting a test when they don't deserve a test. Now, I don't know what the criteria is for not deserving a test. It would be interesting to see, but I would actually prefer that people who didn't deserve a test were getting a test anyway, because we need to ramp up availability of these tests. Otherwise, we're going to miss people.
Is and always has been acute clinical care. The next priority is social care, where we're now sending over 100,000 tests a day, because we've all seen the risks this virus poses in care homes. We'll set out in full an updated prioritization, and I do not rule out further steps to make sure our tests are used according to those priorities. On the question, Mr. Speaker, of the Moonshot, we haven't had any plans for 10 million tests a day, but we do have a goal to get to the millions of tests a day when we can. It's dependent on new technology, so that's what we need to drive forward, and it is absolutely vital for this country, for the resolution of exactly the problems that we're talking about today, but also to then expand testing availability more widely.
Okay, so a number of things to talk about here. So he says about the moonshot. Now, Boris Johnson talked about this moonshot, and in the release, they were talking about 10 million tests a day, or between 8 million and 10 million tests a day, which is very interesting that Matt Hancock is saying, no, we're actually not going in that direction. So he's backpedaling a bit, but that's understandable. 10 million tests a day is a huge number. But he did say about 1 million tests a day. Now, the problem with this is who is going to process these tests? Because we have this news article here. I'll just show you the title. It says, UK government hits back over virus testing concerns. Because hidden within in the document, it says here that at the weekend, so this is from last weekend, at the weekend it was reported that a backlog of 185,000 swab tests were sent for processing in laboratories in Italy and Germany. So because of a surge in demand for tests, the UK government has promised to increase capacity and encourage and urge people only to get a test if they are showing symptoms. So Boris Johnson and Matt Hancock had been talking about this for weeks and months ago. They were saying how we have sufficient capacity. We can deal with all of this. There isn't a problem. Now what seems to be the case is that the laboratories in the UK don't have the capacity to deal with these new tests that are coming in. So they're relying on foreign countries in the EU. Brexit Britain is relying on foreign countries to help it out. Brexiteers were talking about how we need to leave the European Union so we can stand on our own 2 feet. This is a demonstration that you're not capable of standing on your own 2 feet if you have to rely on other countries to help you with the processing. The idea of moving towards 1 million tests a day, well, who is going to process those tests? Matt Hancock talked about new technologies and we will eventually get there. But do you have a plan in place? Is there, do the laboratories in the UK have a plan in place? Do they have the capacity? Do they have the staff? It doesn't seem to be the case. And 185,000 tests is a lot. And I think this number is just going to grow. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?